I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me.
Welcome to Millionaire Before 30, and we are on a mission.
Absolutely.
That's right.
As you guys know, we are designing this show to give you guys the exact blueprint of how to become a millionaire before 30 years old. I'm Ryan Zolin.
I'm Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, Mr. Talk to People, and we are excited. Today we're going to be talking about how to avoid those deals. Yes, nightmare deals. Not only, and we just talked about this, not only do they steal your time, and they steal your money, and they steal your hair, and they steal your sleep, right? These are the type of deals that when you're starting to build momentum and you're like the train going down the tracks and you're starting to really go and really start building up speed and really building up successes and stacking all of these wins, these are that big tree that falls down on the train tracks that is stopping you, that's preventing you from really moving forward and achieving those big time goals.
Absolutely.
You know, we start out and we start with, you know, we just want to do a deal.
Right.
We just want to make some income. We just want to make sure that in our minds we believe and we know that we can do this,
Absolutely.
right? From belief, from faith to fact that we can do this, we start there. And then we start building systems. And then we start building people. Then we start building, you know, all of these things are surrounded by our vision, right? Our vision of what we want, the vision of how our company should run, the vision of what our culture should be in our business. And then boom, you get hit by
that roadblock.
You get hit by one of those big, really like momentum stopping, ugly, nasty nightmare deals.
Seriously.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's inevitable too. I mean, it's going to happen. And even there's been deals like where everything's smooth and then out of nowhere, boom, it falls apart. Or things pop up and I'm like, this is horrible. This is the end of the world. The escrow is going to fall apart. They're going to hate me, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the mindset shift was. But then it was like once you could understand how to get through it and who to ask for help.
Love it.
It was like, boom. Okay.
Love it.
So I feel like we're going to share some examples of these nightmare
We are.
deals.
We're going to break some of these down. Don't forget, we got Albert over here that's going to be just dropping, making sure that we're keeping this thing real clean, real concise, and real smart. All right, we're going to be up here. This is the brains of the operation over here. We're just the mouth and the face here. So let's talk about it. Let's start breaking it down. What do you got for me? I'm going to talk about one that I've been working on for 2.5 years, and what that looks like. But go ahead, break some down. Give us a for instance on what a deal would be that would stop the momentum of your business as you're starting to really build up.
For sure. So I'm gonna add a little bit of variety. Obviously, as we all know, I'm a real estate agent. So my first nightmare deal happened. It was year 1, and it was when I had a business partner, kind of mentor-mentee relationship, and we were going in where I was finding the deals. This deal registered on Zillow. I was going through that whole marketing spiel where I was paying like $2,500 a month for like 5 leads from Zillow. And I had one lead register at 2 a.m. And this is like when I was like first getting started. This is how hungry I was. My phone sat with Ringer next to me on my pillow. And it would ding off and it was like, new lead. Not even kidding you. My crazy ass at like 2:30 in the morning called this guy.
Sure.
He answered. We had a full-on conversation. He was working the night shift. He was on his break. He ended up getting under contract the next day. Now at 18 years old, this was like,
right.
I'm like, oh my God. Online lead.
12
hours later, he's under contract. This is too easy.
By the way, this is just because he's talking about this from a retail real estate and buyer. This is the same with sellers. This is the same when you get that lead coming in or somebody texts you at 2:30 in the morning or 3:30 in the morning. This always happens.
Absolutely.
And listen, sometimes it is the whole they have the night shift, but most of the time it's people that are making really quick decisions. that are probably not of sound mind all the time when they're texting, not when they actually are signing and committing to a deal. But when they're just like, yeah, you know what, I do want to sell my house, and they've had, 1,000 beers or 500 cocktails or whatever else, and they're just like, yeah, give me the offer and I'll sign it. And then, you end up getting it under contract, and then things start getting real wiggly. So the first thing is, if people are texting you in the middle of the night, it should be a red flag. Usually, all right? Yes. For real.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's okay if you have a relationship with them and you kind of understand how they're doing it.
This is one time only in 5 years.
Right.
So one and only.
Okay.
And this was still not even like.
Love it.
Of course, it was too good to be true.
Yeah.
That's where I'm getting to. So we were under contract the next day. And then the first fire pops up. We find out the lender, this is where I messed up as a real estate agent, I didn't check with the lender to see how qualified he was. It was a pre-qual rather than like an actual qualification. So there was just like a rough estimate of like what he could afford, what his payment structure would look like. And he's like, oh, I got that, no problem. Yeah. Then we break it all down. He can't actually qualify. Okay. Falls apart. Yep. And in this market, it's not too crazy. It's like 2016, so it's still a seller's market, but it wasn't uncommon for a property to sit like 10 days. Well, then we get him pre-qualified with our lender that's with our team, and we end up getting him under contract on another property. I beat out 5 other offers. I'm like, man, this is incredible. And then this is where it gets fun. As you know, you have your inspection period, you've got your repairs. The only thing we requested for repairs was to have the landscaping cleaned up. Well, the landscapers did kind of mess up, but they put the debris in the alleyway. Okay. Well, we then go through, as a real estate agent, the CYA is called a final walkthrough. Well, he signed off saying, yep, the debris, everything's good. He didn't see it in the alleyway. Calls me, blowing up my phone. He's like, oh, well, we got to get the debris out. There's a commercial building across the street that's complaining about it in the alleyway. I was like, no problem. Like, let me check our paperwork, make sure it's all good. I was like, dude, you signed off on the final walkthrough. I'm 18. I can't pay like $250 to have a landscaper go out there. Like, this is called homeownership, right? Yeah. He goes and lights it on fire. He lights himself on fire. What? Lights himself on fire. It gets better. He's on County Island. He calls 911. Yeah. They can't come out. What? Because it's County Island. He's not on the public street. Right. So what am I going to do? Tell him to stop, drop, and roll? I mean, he's not calling me on fire, like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. He calls me the next week, sends me a hospital bill, and he's like, this is $15,000. His hand's burnt to a crisp, sends me everything. He's like, I'm suing you and your partner, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. And so, I mean, I had the final walkthrough that covered me. Yeah, 18.
Let me explain something to you. It's really interesting, this whole sue thing. Okay, well, let's see how this shakes out. Go ahead.
That was the end of it. It was just the final walkthrough covered me. Right. But the nightmare of it all was that, I mean, falling through once and then lighting himself on fire and 18 coming after me.
The final walkthrough, the final walkthrough worked for you because he didn't have money to sue you. If he really wanted to sue you, he would have put more money into suing you. For sure. And what a good attorney will say is, listen, you signed off that this is fine. You could go after it and say that it was negligence or something else or whatever, or just sue him personally. But it's going to cost you, $15,000 to $20,000 in attorney fees to get this money to make. So what do you want to do here? So it usually doesn't work out. So sometimes, really, you need to make sure that when something like this happens, talk to a good attorney. Just make sure that you're protected.
For sure. And I mean, I also went above and beyond, being like, dude, I'll go over there and help you move it all. Like, let's figure this out. Like, let's problem solve. Yeah. But it was more of this is how it has to be. This is your problem. And I was like, come on. And at 18 years old, I was like, what's going on? Crazy. What's going on? And that was just one of, obviously.
And it gives you tougher skin, though. And this is for this is for everybody out there that is in that 18 to 30 or whatever. If you've never had anybody threaten to sue you or put you in front of whatever, some sort of governing body, some sort of Department of Real Estate or anything, it's going to happen most of the time. As long as you're going out there with a good servant's heart, you're protected. You're not doing anything that's going to get you in hot water. That's why you stay really, really, really strong to that core ethics. Of course. Of really, really over communicate. Put everything in writing. Correct. Put everything in writing. And listen, if y'all are out there text messaging, that could be used.
Absolutely.
All right? So you got to be real careful. If you're going to blow somebody up or get mad at somebody or you're just losing it for some reason and somebody's saying the worst things to you ever, remember, you're a professional. Calm down. Don't react. and pick up the phone and call them if you want to call them, but don't put it in writing. Do not put something in writing that is threatening, that is anything that's, you're trying to, pound your chest or anything like that. Just avoid that. Let me show you this deal right here.
Let's do it.
So we've got this house, right? We got this house here. This is on Hadley. And I'm working on this right now. This is on Hadley.
So you've got a nightmare going right now.
I've got one right now.
Okay.
This is the owner, right? This is Tony Lopez. All right? Tony Lopez died. All right? So then his son, Tony Lopez Jr., gets the house. Okay? Now, Tony Lopez agrees to a deal with us, is very happy with us at $63,000. This is March of 2019. Okay, so Tony Lopez, a week before we close, he dies. And Tony Lopez Jr. also passes away, unfortunately. So this house now, it went through probate to go to Tony because this Tony Sr. didn't have a will. This Tony died, and we have it under contract. So when you have it under contract and somebody passes away in the state of Arizona, you have the right to still perform on that contract. Well, while we're trying to do that, Tony Lopez's senior ex-wife says, no. I have a will that says that this guy gave me this house. And we're like, okay, go ahead. I mean, we'd love to see that. It obviously wasn't recorded when it went through the probate courts. You didn't bring that up then. So go ahead and show that. She goes, well, it's in a secret place. I'm not going to show you that. And so we're going through the courts. It's going through probate again. It has to go through probate courts again and give us the contract for this thing so that we can purchase this property through probate and make sure that the title is clear. And then this gal hired an attorney for $250 to just say, hey, no, probate court, why don't you put a stop to this sale because we really own it over here and we're going to prove it with this secret documentation. So this has been dragging on now for years, right? So our attorney's like, just give us the paperwork and we'll take a look and we'll see what's up. We have yet to do that. So it's getting caught up. COVID hit, everything slowed down. The beautiful thing about this is this isn't the only deal that we're doing.
Right.
This is the important thing. This is the message in this story. If you are doing 4, 5, 10 deals a month, you're not worried about the one that gets stuck in title.
Right.
All right. You're not worried about the one that turns into a longer process. But it is worth it for us to fight this thing so that we can buy it, because right now we could sell this property for $180,000. This is over $100,000 deal once we get this thing through, which we should. But the probate courts are slowed down. The ex-wife of the original Tony Lopez is dragging her feet with her documentation, as is her attorney. I'm not exactly sure how the attorney's getting paid out of this whole thing. I assume it's going to be part of, when she sells the property. And so that one's a nightmare. The biggest nightmare, though, that I see time and time again that I really now my nightmare. Don't look that bad. That's right, Sam. Good. Good. Well, listen to this. The ones that I see are the worst, and I don't know if you guys know anybody locally here that has gone through this, but I know 2 guys here locally that have committed to packages, 40 plus properties. And this happens all the time to you guys out there. I know it does. You run across those sellers that own 7, 12, 40, 80 properties. They say, I want to sell all these. I'm a tired landlord. Absolutely. They need a lot of work, but these people are savvy. All right? Both times with both guys that committed to these deals, they thought that the half of the package would make the profits. The other one, they could make a little bit of a loss, and it would balance out, and they'd make a good $250,000, $300,000. They ended up both filing bankruptcy, both of them. Yeah, because they committed. They got personal fund. They got private funds to buy the whole package to then put out there. and they couldn't do it. They couldn't pay back the hard money loans, had to do bankruptcy. Wow. And that's like some of the only deals in Phoenix that have really gone back to the hard money lender. I mean, it's a pretty secure investment for private money lenders here, at least in this market. But when you go after these big packages, guys, this is what I suggest. Peel off the one. Find the one property. This is the conversation I want you to have, because you're going to run across this all the time. And I'm telling you, the first time somebody's like, I want to sell 14 properties, in my mind, all I could hear was like cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. I could just see it. I had already envisioned the wire, sending it right into my bank account. And I was like, oh my gosh, 200,000. It's going to be a no-brainer. This is going to be easy, right? And what ends up happening is they want close to retail. They basically want retail minus sales costs. They want to avoid paying a real estate agent, and it turns into an absolute nightmare. When you have to dispo 10 properties in a week, and you don't have the systems in place, it's going to be a mess. You're not going to get nearly as much for each property, and it turns into a nightmare. So the suggestion I have is, when you run across these packages, the conversation is, hey, what is your problem child? I want your worst property. I want to build a relationship with you there and make sure that it works. All right. And then from there, we can move on. This is exactly what we did. Alejandra did this with a gentleman that was selling, what was it, 4 of them? What did he sell? Yeah, 4. Put the microphone on her real quick. What did he sell?
He sold 4 of them, and then we made a shit ton of money off of them. And I'm still in contact with him because he has 5 more, and I'm taking him to lunch next month. Right,
but we didn't want to go after all of them. No, we picked one, that was good, and then we got the rest of them.
Yeah,
he wanted to pick.
Keep the relationship.
Yep, that's it. I am telling you, I know that a package deal would solve so many problems in so many people's lives, but just take your time. If you do one right and you start building it up and getting the rest of them and see if they're reasonable, that's when things work out. But these big package deals that people want to do, and they're like, I'm going to give it to a hedge fund, and I'm going to do this and that. You have no idea how much due diligence hedge funds does on these properties, how much time it takes, how much inspections it takes, how much appraisals it takes. It's not the clean, send it to the cash buyer that's going to do a flip or add it to their portfolio. All right.
It sounds like your method to madness with the packages. Like, don't hammer your funnel right away with just this gallon water. Right. It's kind of do like steady drips, right?
And the ones that we did with that one seller. All 4 of those properties were hot messes.
Oh, yeah.
Dealing with them were all nightmares.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, nightmares to the point where somebody get a gun pulled up? What happened? Something crazy happened. What happened there?
Basically what happened was there was someone that got a gun. Someone came with a gun to the property, and then they were also coke people that were there that were staying there, and then there was an accident with someone hitting someone's car. It was a hot mess.
Yeah.
Hot mess.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Yeah, it was. We solved a big problem for him, and we'll solve another big problem for him too. But it was very profitable for us. So, guys, here's the thing. The other only thing is, obviously personalities typically make it more difficult.
Of course.
Our job is to smooth out all the edges. I will tell you this, without a doubt, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of profit solving these problems and not dragging them on. I've had, hey, we're buying this property. We want to make sure that the seller leaves all the appliances. Yep, no problem. They don't want them. And then you go in, the appliances are gone. I've paid for a lot of appliances. I've paid for windows that have been broken, or doors that have been kicked in, or pools that have been overflown, or
everything.
It's incredible. I am just telling you, I would rather pay now for the peace of mind so that I could keep going into the future. This is a huge learning. I am telling you guys, if you take this to heart, it's going to save you you're going to make so much more money, because your mind is not going to be caught up on these little things.
Yep.
$2,000, $5,000 here and there to make people really happy and get this deal closed.
It's worth
goes
it.
a long
Absolutely.
way.
And I mean, I think correct me if I'm wrong here, but if you don't correct it now, down the road, it's going to be twice as much, if not more.
It turns into a nightmare, and then you're just fighting, and you're going through all this stuff, and it's just a nightmare. For sure. You know what I mean? People, well, the property's supposed to be cleaned, and it's filled with junk.
Yep.
We'll clean it up. We'll pay for it to clean up. Can I give you $2,000 and you can send somebody in there? I'll send my own junk guy in there. I'll do whatever it is. Yep. If people are complaining, if your cash buyers are complaining because something isn't happening that you agreed would happen, you need to make sure that you remedy that, or your reputation is going to be terrible, and you're going to have that thought in the back of your mind that, are these guys going to come back at me with a lawsuit? Are they going to badmouth me to everybody else?
Am I not be able to do a deal with them again? Are they going to even buy from me? Like, it's all real stuff.
It's all real.
Very real.
That's part of this whole process. That's the sticky part of real estate, is the emotions and the finances get commingled, and sometimes it turns into a really rough situation. But I'm telling you, you get past it, pay the extra amount to get past it if that's what it takes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I always I'll always defer to that. Yeah, give them a couple grand, give them $5,000, give them $10,000. I don't know. It depends on the size of the deal, but
for sure.
Yeah.
Just push it over to the finish line, because at the end of the day, it kind of boils down to just doing the right thing. Doing the right thing, even if you do end up getting sued, you're like, hey, I did everything I was supposed to. What do you want more from me? Like, I went above and beyond.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in this business, you're right. Finances and emotions do get commingled, but personally, I think at the end of the day, if you do the right thing, it boils down. If you have to think about it, you're not doing the right thing.
Yep. Love it. So let's start cracking this thing open, guys. This is a show all about participation. Matt, when you get a chance, can you pop up our steps, our process? There it is, the blueprint to becoming a millionaire before 30. It starts with bringing income in. It starts with going out there and providing value. We call that doing a deal. All right, we're coming from a real estate background, but this could be any kind of decision that you make that is bringing those income in. That could be flipping things that you find. This could be a bunch of different variety of different ways that you can bring in money. Maybe it's something that you're doing with crypto. Maybe it's something you're doing with building, some sort of technology or an app or whatever it is. Bring some income in. Get some income in. Next.
Absolutely. It's going full-time in the business. What you have to understand is that obviously, first and foremost, bringing in the income is what's able to subside what is currently your financial situation. If you are in 9 to 5 and you're trying to make enough money before you transition full-time, completely understood, and I get it. Make sure you do the deal, then transition to full-time in the business. What you have to make sure you have the discipline with going full-time is understanding that when you're full-time, you have to have the discipline to make sure that you are getting what you need to done every single day. Having a full-time job may not mean just 40 hours. It may be you're on call your first 3, 4, 5 years. Anytime that phone rings, you're going. But being full-time, you have the ability to be available full-time.
Yep.
So that transitions to...
Yep. Kill the consumer debt. And we put in here, and this is a tough one, because this one is one of those ones that isn't sexy, but truly watching what you are getting yourself in debt with. I can't tell you how many, I bet it was probably 80%. I would say that. I'm going to go so bold as to say 80% of people trap themselves early in life with cars. I am telling you, it's the number one expense that people are paying. They're paying for their payment, insurance, gas, maintenance. All of these things start really piling up, let alone, so watch the cars. I'm telling you, go and make the money and buy these things cash and take care of it that way. I'm telling you, it'll drag you down, especially in your early 20s when you want to get out of high school and you want to have that badass car and you want to roll up to your homies 5 years, 6, 7 years out of high school and be like, what's up? Who's successful now, Sarah? Yeah, you didn't want to go to homecoming now? You wanted to go with Bill? Bill drives a beat up old truck and I'm here in this Audi. What's up, Sarah? That whole mentality will keep you poor. That whole mentality will keep you in a job, into 9 to 5 for a long time. All right. So just keep keep the money that you make, put it into invest it into your business.
Correct.
Right? Kill that student debt, kill all those credit card debt. Those are the type of things that we're looking at.
Yep.
All right.
And
Next.
then, like Brent said, he hit it right on the head. Investing into assets. The goal is that you have the assets that will pay for whatever it is that you're looking to spend the money on. So if you want to go buy that car, whether or not you don't have the cash now, that's okay. Go and invest in assets and create the ability to have that where you can buy it later on down the road. So investing into assets is what leads to the ability of the fifth and final step, which is what we are all trying to accomplish. It is financial freedom.
Financial freedom. That's it. This is, listen, that big one up top there, that financial freedom, that's freedom of schedule.
Yep.
That's freedom of energy. I am telling you, it all comes down to that energy and that vibration that you put out, that vibe you put out. However you want to classify that, however that goes into your brain and gets digested, that whole thing about being able to control this amount of time, this small, tiny amount of time we have on this planet to do amazing things and to love and to laugh and to have joy and to really have passion and work towards the purpose, that all happens when you have the ability to do that. You have the ability to do that if you get financial freedom.
Absolutely.
That is the goal. So exciting stuff. Can somebody get me the bell? Because I have a feeling we're going to be celebrating some successes here. But guys, Jeremiah, I don't know who Sarah and Bill is, but I mean that's just a thought. I mean that's just the way that it is. You know what I mean? I remember getting it. The Audi part is true. The Audi part was the first thing that I got as a real estate agent, and you had to have a nice car.
Of course,
so
it's
that
the
you
Mercedes,
could sell
the
luxury
BMW.
cars.
Yep.
I mean, and then it was, hey, it's a tax write-off, and hey, you could do this and that, and the whole thing, and it turned into a nightmare. The car was terrible. It was a terrible car, and it cost so much. So yeah, Michael, yeah, me too, brother. Hey, listen, I drive a Ford Raptor. All right, is it bougie? Is it bougie?
That's bougie.
Is it bougie? It might be it's not like a GMC Denali.
But to make it make sense, though, you invested into assets that allowed you to buy
I bought that thing cash.
So.
You know what I mean? Come on. I could buy any car right now cash. I'm just telling you right now, life is about options. I could buy any car pretty much. I mean, let's not get bananas with like, $3 million or something, but pretty much any car cash right now, and I still choose the Raptor. So how bougie is that? Huh? There you go. It's all about perspective. Jeez. Cold calling right now. Let's go, Adam. Closing on a deal today at 1 p.m. Now time for this. Let's go. I love it, Adam. Get that deal locked up. Get it locked up, and then share it with us next week. We'll ring this bell once you get that paperwork done and celebrate you, brother. That is awesome, and I hope it's in Denver. It looks like you're in Well, I don't know if you're in Denver, but you're in Colorado somewhere. Either way, if you're in Colorado and you're locking up deals, it should be a big deal.
For
so
sure.
Congratulations. Awesome. Santana. Can you all address other wholesalers and buyers stealing your deals, because that can be a nightmare too? That truly is, Santana. Yeah, do you want to hit on that? Because I mean, your deals are on the market.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was going to say,
I mean,
that's exactly what I was going to hit on.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we have buyers but this actually happened yesterday. We have a dispo wholesaler helping us move a property, and they called the dispo wholesaler and went off on them. And it was the listing agent that found it. So a little bit of a different situation. But the listing agent called. They were like, we saw it on the list. We're blah, 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 blah. Like, you have no right. I'm calling your broker, taking you to the Department of Real Estate.
Yep.
Here you go.
Yep.
But yeah, as for wholesalers and buyers, on market deals, it's very easy for them to go and look at it and just call the agent and say, is this available or is this not available? Where I make sure to cover.
They're selling this behind,
right?
Yeah, and it's always agents,
of course,
that are on your list.
Yep.
That tell the other agents.
Yep.
Right.
And so we just make sure we have our paperwork covered. We've got escrow opened, and then aside from that, buyers are going to go around you regardless to the listing agent in that situation. For me with MLS deals, so I just have to be mindful of that and understand that I've got my situation all covered, and then we've got obviously our fail safes is what we tell the agents and make sure that they understand the situation's all good. So.
Listen, Santana, you can speak to an attorney because I'm certainly not one, but let me explain a little bit from a non-attorney standpoint. When you go in and you sign this agreement, you sign a contract between me and a property owner, and then somebody tries to come in and convince that property owner to breach this contract, I am within my rights to sue that seller for specific performance. All right. So that person coming in the back door is putting this seller in a position to get into a lawsuit. That's a terrible position. So we literally tell our sellers, well, first of all, here's the deal. If it's a big, massive deal, I'm closing it with cash immediately. Yep. If it is a big deal, I'm telling you, and if you're just starting out, if it's $30,000 or above, I would get the cash. I would find anybody in your market to go and get that deal closed as fast as possible with cash.
Yep.
Just talk to successful people. Talk to successful people in our space. Try to build a relationship with them. Bring in the deal and just say, listen, I know that you're busy. I know that you've got a lot going on. I've got this amazing deal. I'd love to close it. I'll give you $5,000 just to close it for the day. I've already got some buyers lined up that I think I'll sell it to. I don't want to let anybody know about it because I don't want to slip this through. Right. But take a look at the deal. Let me know what you think. Yeah, that looks good. I'll fund that. I do this. I fund it. Fund it. Boom. There you go. And so, but I fund my own. So we fund these things, get it done, and sell it. So there's no exposure there. But if you do put something out, the conversation that we do have with the property owners is, listen, there's going to be, as soon as we open escrow, there's going to be other people that are going to come in and say maybe they can give you more, or maybe you should cancel the contract. We are committed here. You can't cancel this contract. So I want you to be 100% certain that you want to move forward with my company. Yes, good. This is good. We're all good. Okay, good. Yep. So there's no canceling from here on out. All right. And with that commitment, they understand. If anybody comes to you, you give them my number and you say for them to call me, or you get their number and I will call them. I will take care of them for you. Right. You have to future pace them. You have to give them this might happen to you. And so this is what I want you to do. So it's just a conversation. And listen, I don't want to say that. What if they're like, well, what if they say they don't want the contract? They don't want to sign the contract. They don't want to commit to it. It's open. I mean, you can take the risk. Right. You can take the risk. But if somebody comes along, the likelihood of them canceling that deal because somebody's pouring, different information, different honey into their ear, right. It's gonna break your heart. Yep. When you have already counted that $18,500 assignment fee that you're expecting, and it doesn't happen. All right. Right. Boom. Good question.
All right. From Kiali, we'll hopefully.
Kiali. Yeah.
Ryan, will you have a course or coaching to show people how to find deals on the MLS? I'm really untested in that approach instead of cold calling. I might in the future. I don't know. We'll see. At the moment, we do coaching outside. It's like kind of one-on-one. It's very specific. I always tell people this is where I'm not a good salesperson. I'm not good for everybody. So I want to make sure if I coach the people, I'm a good fit for them. But I get a lot of requests for people asking to figure out how to find deals on the MLS. So,
DM you?
Yeah, DM me on Instagram.
There you go.
Hey, at the end of the day, though, I want to clear that up. Even though we find deals on the MLS, we are still calling these agents. Like, it's still a quote-unquote
for sure
call, but
you're
it's
still
not
talking
a straight
to people.
Cold call.
Sure.
Yeah,
still
we're still
talking
to people.
Listen, talking to people, it came out and it's like, oh, it's just cold calling to property owners. It's the whole thing. It's talking. It's a vibe. It's a it's a movement. Mm-hmm. It's an action. It's just being proactive. Yep. Whether you're calling real estate agents, other wholesalers, other investors, property owners, cash buyers, whatever
attorneys,
it is,
whoever.
It's talking to people. It's just being brave,
absolutely,
and building up your likability and your certainty to go out there and provide value to the world. That's what TTP is.
Albert brought up a great point. I mean, it's talking to people. Yeah. So I mean, what I will also kind of reiterate here, though. What I always teach people is that the hardest part of the traditional side, being an agent, is finding a client. The hardest part of the investment side is finding a deal. I like the MLS because I know the sellers are wanting to sell the property. Yep. Now it's just a matter of making it work. To give you guys some inspiration, yesterday we had a property that I got under contract last night. Shout out to Brent.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's get this bell. Let's get this bell. Yeah. We have to give a shout out to Brittany on the team. She actually doesn't even know that we have this under contract, so if she's watching it, congratulations.
Great job, Britt.
And so we got this one. It was originally listed at $765. I got it under contract yesterday at $600 on the MLS. So
$600,000, and this is one that you've done one in the area.
One street over.
And what'd you make on that?
We made one like 40-ish. Yeah.
Just $140,000.
Yeah, that was our best.
Made $140,000. What'd you guys do to celebrate that?
We went to sushi.
I went to sushi.
Yeah.
Yeah, where at?
Was it
All
June?
you can eat place.
You
that I
didn't
wanted to
buy.
go
You
to.
didn't buy a brand new car or.
I didn't even let him go to Mastro.
Yeah, he wouldn't even let me go to Mastros.
I said no.
Yeah. I mean,
This is the guy you need to keep in your life. You know that, right?
as long as we're saving
Never
money
get
the
too
right
big
way,
for
yeah.
your britches. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep that man in your life. That is great.
But no, I understand what they're talking about. For me,
Yeah.
I could I was really struggling with the whole cold calling. It was just like sitting there 6, 7, 8 hours a day. That's what I started in real estate doing.
Yeah.
And that rejection for me, I can handle it. And obviously you build the thick skin.
Yep.
But as I was able to start looking at the MLS deals, you could start to make deals make sense, especially being licensed, getting the commission.
Love it.
So
Love it.
Yeah.
Great work. There you go.
This guy has a couple of questions.
Yeah, bring it.
let's do it.
He's got them after. When dealing with agents, do you ask for proof of funds when buying properties on MLS?
Absolutely.
Do they ask? Sorry.
Absolutely.
Every time?
All the time. And so what you want to do is make sure you have a private money investor
Yep.
or like, hey, Brent, can we go and buy this deal together? I'll show you the numbers, kind of like what he just had as an example.
Yep.
He's going to say yes. Guess what? Now I have his proof of funds.
Yep.
And then also,
Which is a bank statement.
Yep.
Which is a bank statement, or you can get proof of fund. I mean, you can get proof
could
of
Google
funds.
it.
Yeah. Kogo Capital does it for $10.
Yep.
And makes it pretty easy. But listen, most if you're going to go with an agent, I would probably not go with Kogo Capital or something that's based out of a different state. I would do it something local. I would do it with any of these guys. I would do it with Capital Fund One.
Yep.
Those guys are great. Noah Brocious over there is fantastic. Chris Iman with Sell Wholesale Houses does a phenomenal job, and he is really excellent at communicating. So you can find him on social media. And I would just build those relationships with those hard money guys
Absolutely.
that are doing amazing things out there. There's a ton of other. We've used what is that thing? What's the thing that you throw and it comes back? Boomerang Finance. Boomerang Finance. They do a really great job for us as well. So I would find somebody local and get those if you're going to be going after some agents that
Absolutely.
are a little bit more nitpicky. The other thing that I used to do is I do a copy of an earnest check. So whether it be $1,000, $5,000, what do you guys usually put for earnest on these deals?
$2,500.
$2,500. I would put it made out to the title company that I want to. $2,500. I'd make that a copy. I'd put my proof of funds. I'd put my offer package. I'd present it, and then that way there's no. Here's the issue: when you go with agents that have properties on the market. Remember, it's the same thing as off market. Time kills all deals, but it's even more intense with real estate agents because they could be getting offers all the time.
Anytime.
And you need to be the one that they see, it's clean, it's done, they put it in front of their seller, and it gets signed.
Yep.
If you're missing a couple things here and there that I'll email, I'll get it to you, I'll text it to you, this type of thing, and it's not in a neat package, it goes all over the place, opens you up, boom, for another offer to come in and get that done. And get it done. Yeah. So make sure all your ducks are in a row when you're making offers to real estate agents. Love it. When buying deals off the MLS, do you wholesale the property or fix and flip or both?
Both. Just depends on the deal. So a lot of times we break it down where, okay, we're going to make $40,000 profit, but we can wholesale it out and make 15, 20K wholesale plus 20K commission.
Yeah.
I would rather make the quick money without having to step foot in the property. And we buy a lot of them sight unseen. 95% are sight unseen.
Yeah.
So I would say absolutely wholesale and fix and flip. Just depends on the deal.
Awesome. Good.
All right.
Justin, there he is. I need help determining what avenue of disposition I should focus on in my area. I live in St. Joseph, Missouri, and the average house is $150,000. Wholesale, flip, rent, creative finance. Thanks, fellas. It just depends on what your goal is. I always think that the best goal is to build a big, healthy, happy bank account so that you can continue this progress and build your company, invest in your company, and grow it. And you need cash to be able to do that. I love the idea of creative finance. I love the idea of having properties, but that's a whole different business.
Right.
Property management, property ownership, property portfolios, that's a whole other business. That's your passive. That's your long term. That's not your going to get you out of working a 9 to 5.
Right.
Big, healthy checks are going to do that.
Absolutely.
So I would focus on wholesaling. I would focus on finding discounted properties, locking them up, and selling those to a cash buyer.
For sure. And I will add into, like, Justin, I think Brent hit it right on the head. We don't know what your goals are. So I would say, based on what I can tell from the information here, the way you put it in that timeline, wholesale, flip, rent, creative finance, that's your order. If you're looking for us to tell you what to do, I personally think that build the money wholesaling, then go and fix and flip with partners. You could buy rentals that if you want to, and then if you decide to jump into creative finance, go for it.
I've seen this picture a ton of times. I didn't know if Justin was really tall, and then I see in the background they're like giving piggyback rides
Oh my
or
gosh.
something. I was like, man, he is tall. Anyway, there we go.
funny.
Maybe he is tall too. Can you get in trouble by being a real estate agent when buying on the MLS without the seller's agent knowing, because you're not disclosing that you are an agent? How would you get around that? What would you do?
That's a good question. I will just tell you first things first. When you are going and representing, you've got the listing agent, and you've got the buyer's agent. The listing agent's not going to know that the buyer's agent isn't like licensed, or that they are licensed. They're going to have, like, when you submit a contract, they have the buyer's agent on the contract, so they're going to see who it is, and they're going to be able to see who that agent is. What we have in our business model, so you can kind of understand full transparency, we have a TC that is the agent on the transaction. So she's the one writing the paperwork, and then the LLC that I own is the buyer. So they technically don't see Ryan Zolin as the buyer's agent and Ryan Zolin as the buyer. I will tell you the kind of weird thing that we haven't really figured out recently. I probably shouldn't say this on here, but we have the email.
It'll just be around.
It's good. It's transparency for the
eternity.
it's transparency for the audience.
Yeah.
But her email has my last name in it for the team name.
Yeah.
So no agents ever put together the email having my last name in it and me being the buyer. So I would say that, just to reiterate here, they're going to know who the agent is. They may not even if it has a last name that's yours on there, it doesn't matter. They're going to know all the information going into that. There's no way you can't disclose that you're an agent, especially if you are one. Your broker's going to have requirements that you have to put into the verbiage of the contract stating that you are a licensed agent. So there is no way around that. It's called disclosures. And at the end of the day, if you do it the right way, like Albert said earlier in the show, they shouldn't have an issue. So
truly, when you get things done, especially doing it with agents, it's increasing their certainty and decreasing the risk for them. So you increase the certainty that you are the buyer, you will perform, and by doing so, you reduce the risk that they look bad to their clients, that it fell out for another time. So if you did your homework already and you called them, you talked to them, you built good rapport, they're not going to look twice because they're expecting the offer. I tell them, hey, it's going to come from my TC. They're looking for the name, so they don't really have a reason to look as closely to be like, well, who is this? Why is this? Because you've already done your homework. You increase their certainty, like, they're closing this deal. I feel confident that they're going to do it. I'm here just, hey, client, sign it. Here's your offer.
And this is a big nugget too, to that point, is that we put the whole thing in place where we have the TC doing the paperwork, where it's not
Explain
us.
what TC is.
A TC is our transaction coordinator. So they're the ones that handle all the paperwork and all the filing. Once we get under contract, they handle everything. Makes our life easy. So the TC does the paperwork rather than us doing it, because some agents, when you have the conversation, you build rapport with them. When we were to go in and submit an offer, but we're representing ourselves as the agents, sometimes they would see and they'd be like, well, you're making 10K commission. We're factoring that into your offer. So now I'm like, whoa, TC's making the commission. This doesn't affect our offer. Our offer is where it's at because we're the buyer. So that's the reason we implemented the whole TC thing, was just for strategy and obviously to maximize profit. And then obviously we can kick it over and make more money by having the commission option. So
you want to hear the crowd? Give me 2 minutes to tell a story about Brian Mahoney. So Mike Mahoney, my best friend, right?
Okay.
We're 22 years old. We just got our license literally like 90 days before.
Okay.
And his dad did very well, and they had this huge house in Gilbert.
Okay.
We put it on the market for $1.3 million, right? And this is 2004, bro.
Okay.
Right? This is like the highest priced house in Gilbert of all time.
And Brian's also an agent here?
No,
just you.
No, Brian Mahoney was the owner. Mike
okay.
Mahoney is my best friend.
Okay.
And I'm just putting it out there, Brian.
Perfect.
If you're watching, you'll remember this story.
Okay.
We get an offer, right, from a very wealthy family that's known here in Arizona, and they came in and they're like, "We'll give him $1.3 million," and he's like, "Well, I'm not." She's the agent, so she's getting the commission. So I'll counter back at 1.3 plus 3% on top of that, because I don't want to pay. I was like, you're committing to pay the commission either way.
Right.
And he's like, fine. He goes, but you know what? Is it cash? Yeah, all cash. Okay, great. It'll close in 30 days. Yeah, well, it's going to be tough to get Teddy, Mike's mom, out of this house. Call him up right now on the phone. He gave me the house phone, like an old school phone. And he's like, call him right now and tell him that we'll accept their offer if they agree to giving Teddy, Mike's mom, a $10,000 gift certificate to Nordstrom. I'm 22 years old. I'm like, wow, this is a full cash offer.
1.3.
1.3, the highest sale in Gilbert of all time. And I got to call this like high-powered, this family's real estate developers, really well known in Arizona. And I'm calling her up and saying that. So I call her up and I go through this whole thing. I'm like, you know, we're real close on this deal. You know, but to really push it over the finish line, they're asking for a $10,000 gift certificate to Nordstrom, and they're like, are you fucking kidding me? What is this guy out of his fucking mind? Blah blah blah. You're like going and going and going and going and going, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then they're like, tell him no deal, click, and I was like, Brian, I don't know, and he's like, just wait. No kidding. 10 minutes later, they called me back. They're all dying laughing. They're like, the ball's on that guy. Whatever. We don't care. We'll give him the $10,000 gift certificate. I was like, wow, that is bananas. I mean, sometimes you don't know unless you ask. And he was in a position where he bought the house for $685 2 years before. Right. And then the market went bananas. So this was like a huge upside. He didn't have to sell. What I'm saying there is in a position when you don't have to, when you don't care if it goes through or not, ask for whatever you want. Ask for stuff. Like, sweeten the deal. Make it a story. I don't know. Right. Like, you can ask for stuff. I mean, if you don't really care if it goes through or doesn't, then that's the best position to negotiate in.
Absolutely.
But that also taught me that if people are in that position and I'm trying to negotiate with them and they don't really need to sell, they don't really want to sell, they're in a position where they could. This comes up every single day to every single person that's on here when people go, yeah, I'll sell at the right price. I'll sell at the right price. Of course. What's your price? Now I know instinctually that they're going to try to get everything out of this, and this is a total waste of my time because these people are not going to trade potential equity in their property for speed and convenience. Right. It made it a very easy filter for when I did come across those property owners that did want to sell and did have that motivation. Then you can negotiate with those owners and get really good deals. And that's the difference. If somebody if they have all the time in the world and they don't truly have that motivation to sell it and solve that problem right now, move on. Move on. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Javon, my nightmare deal came this past July when I lost $4,000 in earnest money when my buyer went MIA a few days before closing. Luckily, I closed another deal that month for $10,000 and made some of my money back. Yeah, that's the tough.
It happens. Yep. I would say in that case, the one piece of advice I have is that I would have just offered like for you to make sure the buyer had earnest money hard at title, so that way you would have been able to cover yourself. Maybe if, like, for example, I put $2,500. Yeah, if I put up $2,500, my buyer's put up $5,000. So if it falls apart, my $25,000 goes to the seller, $25,000 from our buyer comes to me.
We don't do a deal less than $5,000 non-refundable earnest to protect this. Also, there's a couple things here that I can dissect just from you saying that, Javon. Is first, $4,000 coming from the seller means obviously they probably had some experience in real estate, so maybe it wasn't as good of a deal as expected. That's number one. In my mind, it could have been, but I'm just saying, in my experience, maybe it wasn't as good as deal, and that's why your buyer went MIA. Second one is, typically when somebody is asking for $4,000 earnest, it's because they've been burned before. Another wholesaler, another investor locked it up, canceled on them. Now they want more security for that. They probably canceled on them because the price was too high based on some underlying conditions about the property. Red flag, red flag, red flag. So I'm looking there. That's probably what happened. What was keeping that. Whenever a seller wants significant earnest deposit like $4,000, it has to be like an unmistakably home run deal, or it just smells off. It just too many red flags. Right?
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I see Albert shaking your head. You know what I'm talking about. When the sellers want the earnest money, it's typically because they've been burned.
It's. I think you're right that they have been burned, but I also like to think they're hiding something from you. Because sellers always do. They will always keep their cards close to their chest, and when someone comes in that knows that knows the whole process of how a real estate transaction works, they're doing that to protect themselves. So something in the back of their mind they're keeping close that you haven't found out yet, and now they're protected on both sides. So it's a win-win.
Well,
for
and
them.
even so, I'll even challenge you too. They may not know the process, so they may think that they have that 4K. Even if you have an inspection period, they may think that 4K is coming to them. So then you may come and ask for repairs or a reduction, and they may say, absolutely not, I'm taking your 4K. And then you're in the inspection period, you're like, well, I'm still getting it back, whatever. But like, there's so many different variables there. But sellers, you hit it right on the head, they lie.
I will say the most naive sellers are usually the most dangerous because they don't know.
Right.
That's what makes them so dangerous.
Wild card.
Yep. Awesome. Chris JB, Brent, with those package deals, do you recommend separate contracts for each property? I do.
I was gonna
every
say,
time.
Absolutely. That's that.
Listen, it gives you options. It gives you flexibility. It gives you the opportunity to sell them to multiple different buyers. What if your best buyer only wants one property and you locked up 3? You know what I mean? So locking them up individually, one, it's going to keep you disciplined to where it's not like a package deal where you're like, all right, I'll give you 300 for these 3 properties, but one property is really worth 20.
Right.
You know, you could sell it for 30 and then you have to make it up. So if you lock that thing up for 20 and you locked up the other ones for, whatever prices that make sense, you're going to stay real disciplined. And be wary of people that are like, listen, I want it all on one contract. People that want that are asking too much.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'll go full depth in
Right?
that. I need a pro forma. I need to see, like, I'm going through and then I've got multiple eyes on it. There's NDAs.
What does a pro
involved.
forma mean?
Pro forma is
You're using big words today, man. You are just next level today. TC pro forma.
I don't know, man.
No, but what's a pro forma?
So yeah, it's basically just going to be broken down. It's going to be what their current rent situation is, any repairs that need to be, vacancies. It's going to be like a literal line by line of every detail about the property and the package of what you're getting yourself into. Yeah. Cap rates and.
And listen, if they're giving you all that stuff and they have that all prepared, they're not giving you a deal.
Right.
I'm just telling you.
Right.
It's a good question. Can I get the pro forma? Yeah, I've got it already prepared. Nope. No.
And then they're like, I'll send over the NDA, and I'm like, so I can't even check this with somebody else.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. NDA, what's that?
Non-disclosure agreement.
There we go. Ryan, can you talk about your process about how to buy properties on the MLS and why you do that instead of cold call? Well, he does cold call, just agents, but cold calling property owners is what he means.
Yeah, for sure. And we just started implementing cold calling really like a few months ago, going direct to seller.
Yeah.
Our process with MLS, so we basically have a spreadsheet that spits out the top available opportunities for us every single day. The magical Albert Bowie over there has created that spreadsheet for us. And it basically goes into Excel, pulls out the top searches that I gave them of like where I found deals in the past. Yeah. And then our acquisition team, myself and Albert, and then our TC as well, we all go in there every single day, and then we're just submitting offers. These ones are highlighted that say, this is going to be in pre-foreclosure, this one's probate, this one has a category that is fix-up needs repair, or there's going to be specific keywords. So now, rather than us going, and I always say I'm shooting fish in a barrel on the MLS because it's a seller, I'm now going with a scope shooting fish in a barrel, and the fish is dead, not moving. So now you're going in looking at the very specific targets. You mentioned something earlier that you look at a deal for 2 seconds, and if it's not, move on. That's exactly what we push. So we take it, we put it into tax records. I like to look in the surrounding area neighborhood-wise, not any cross major streets, and I want to find a comparable property that is going to show in the slightest bit that mine might be a deal. Once it looks like the numbers might be a deal, I'm on the phone with the agent, I'm building rapport, and the most important piece here, nugget, is going to be finding out the seller's situation and motivation.
That's it.
This is the most important part of any side, whether or not you're going direct to seller, you're going mailing campaigns, texting, it's looking for motivation. And if someone's not motivated, they're not going to sell. So if they're going to put it up on the market and they're $30,000 above retail value, and they're like, I'm waiting, I'm not in a rush. Don't waste your time submitting an offer on that one. Don't waste your time trying to, this is the analogy of what I talked to you guys about. It's the shape. Don't take the triangle and put it in the circle shape. Find the circle and make it work. So for us, we then just submit the offers. TC sends the email with all the paperwork. We build a rapport with the agent, obviously, before that. And then the agent will either counter us, accept it, or just say flat out no. A lot of times it's flat out no, it's okay. And then from there, we just turn around, we get it under contract, open escrow, wholesale it out, or take it down and fix and flip.
Love it. And he had mentioned there tax records. He looks at it. It's basically PropStream.
PropStream.
Well, I mean, we have in our MLS, we have a really strong tool called Monsoon. But around the country, they don't have it, even if you are licensed. So PropStream, ttpdata.com. What you're looking for is you're just looking for those comps. You're looking for the comp that gives you an indication that this is going to be a no-brainer deal.
And they're out there. The biggest thing I will challenge you with is do not surround yourself with people that are telling you the deals are not out there. I promise you on the MLS, dude, like that is like the one thing that people always say.
You're standing inside of negativity. You're standing inside of the exact opposite of optimism.
Of course.
I mean, I've said it now 3 times live. You don't get what you want. You get what you attract, right? I mean, if you're attracting that there isn't any deals, that's what you're going to get.
For sure. It's just a big limiting belief I hear all the time about MLS deals. So, but love the questions, dude.
Here's the next part about that comes after the deal. Even though the agent says a no, my next thing to them is, here's the beauty thing, right? Instead of cold calling, agents aren't really emotionally invested in this property because they're working for a client. Therefore, they don't care whether or not, I mean, to a point of their commission and stuff, but it doesn't bug them too much what number is as long as the client likes it.
Yeah.
So the beauty of it is I can come back like, hey, I understand, the client didn't want this. How about another one? Do you have any other listings that could work? And they think in their mind, they come across listings. They're touching a lot of different contacts throughout the day that said, oh, I have this property. And suddenly the agent's like, oh, this person wanted to buy that as investor cash. Here's an easy transaction for me.
Yeah.
So now the emotion's been taken out for the agent. And now they're like, beautiful. Here's another lead for you. Like, come back. Even though this one didn't work, I have another one. They don't hate you for a lowball offer because it didn't matter to them. Really.
For sure.
Love it.
And I like how he said that too about why the last part of the question is why do you do that instead of cold calling? For me, it's like we would rather have conversations with agents because they're constantly looking at properties every day. I'd rather have conversations with other people and essentially building up bird dogs rather than having conversations where I'm being told to F off 20 times a day. So. But with that said, we still are now implementing that again. The whole reason we're going cold calling now is that we built up all this money from wholesaling, from MLS deals plus commission. Now we're like, okay, we can put money into systems, processes, leads, so on and so forth.
Just more channels.
Of course.
More opportunities.
More buckets.
Yep.
What other marketing do you do besides deals for the MLS, or is this the only source? So cold calling now, we do that. We have door tags. We JV a lot of deals. MLS. What else am I missing? Referral, referral, JV.
Referrals and JVs.
Then aside from that, it's just realtors. Like the same thing, no JV. Yeah. So I mean, most of our channels of streams are going to be lower cost expense wise. But then with that said, like that's why we're pouring so much into the direct to seller now.
Yep.
So
love it. Addison, when cold calling owner occupied, how do you respond to owners who say, well, I need a place to live. Where will I go? Listen, there's a couple of different things that happen when they say that. One, they're not in a selling mentality. Okay. They're like, yeah, I would love to take advantage of the market, but then where would I go next? What would happen? You're looking for people that have plans.
Right.
You're looking for, I mean, you could go one layer deep there, Addison, if you want, but typically when you're having those conversations, you should wrap up that conversation pretty quickly. Yep. And the reason I say that is because, I mean, I've had thousands of these conversations personally, and I know with our team, when they go into that place, what you're looking for, you can go one layer deep and just say, if you did sell this, where do you think you would move to next? Yep. Where would you go to next? Where would if I sold this, I need a place to live. Okay, great. If you sold it, where would you go next? Right? Well, I would probably go here and here and here and here. But what you're really looking for is that they already have somewhere else that they can live. What you're looking for is they want to go somewhere. They want to finally get out from underneath this property and go live whatever life they want, wherever they want. So it's not it is not our job to convince them of how great life will be living somewhere else.
I think that, what did you say the other day? He said the convincing thing. We don't find deals.
Oh yeah, we're
don't
deal
create
finders. We don't create.
Yeah, we're
deals.
not. We're deal finders, not creators.
Yep. Said that in the office and it stuck to me. I'm like,
yeah. I think the one thing with Addison's question that just popped to my head real quick was instead of because sellers hold their cards close to their chest, right? I was reading that question. I thought, all right, there's really a different question that they wanted to ask, but they're not going to. So my thing is when I ask a lot of agents even, I ask them, well, what's the goal? What's the goal of when they sell the house? Because ultimately, like, maybe they don't want to move. Maybe they want to buy a van and go, you know, travel the country with their wife or something. Like, you don't know what the goal is because that question hides the real goal. The real motive is hidden.
100%.
Right. You need to see that plan, that blueprint.
What do you say to sellers who say, call me back in 6 months, says renting back sounds too complicated. By the way, hope you're doing well, Alexandra. All right, Alexandra. One letter different. There's a J instead of an X, but pretty close. You know what? It's I like Alexandra. I think that's old school, right?
It's gonna stick.
Like Alexander. Like the is he the conqueror, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, Alexander the Great. That's it. Whatever. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think that you need to find out what is magical about 6 months. Right. You know, what changes? What is going to happen in 6 months that's going to help you make that decision?
What I always like to play devil's advocate with them. What if the market goes down?
All right.
Is your price going to still be here?
Yeah.
Because I like what you said. What changes in 6 months?
Yeah. You know, I've used this a couple different ways, you know. Back in 2008, I was talking to people at barbecues and they were super excited about fix and flip, and then 6 months later the market had totally changed and they lost everything in these things. You know, do you think that that's a possibility now? Right? You know, you could do some of that. I don't know. You know, sometimes that's a little too salesy for me. That's a little bit too, kind of like, let me poison the well a little bit to see if it, if there's something underlying there that can be brought out. But I think that just understanding what happens in 6 months, if I can get you, what you want sooner, would that be better for you? You know what I mean? And just some open-ended questions in there if you don't sell it in 6 months, what are you going to do? What's your plans with the property? You know, and if they go, well, in 6 months, if I don't sell, I'll probably rent it. I'll probably fix and flip it. I'll probably put another, I might put it on the market. I might do something here. Now we're starting to get, okay, they've got 7 different options that are probably a better fit for them than a cash as is offer. Remember, cash as is for people that want to trade speed and convenience for that potential equity. Every time, guys, they have to have a major problem that a cash offer is going to solve. If not, they should put it on the market with an agent. Right. They should fix it up and rent it again. They should fix it up and sell it. If they have the capital means, the financial means to be able to repair these properties and get them into great working, functional shape, great. Do that. There's too many other people that need to sell these properties now for a million different reasons. 12 million properties have been vacant for over a year in this country. I'm telling you, there are so many other opportunities. Don't hold on to this one lead and just be like, oh, I love this lead. It's going to be an amazing deal. I don't want to ask too many questions because if I do, I might lose this lead. But I think someday I'm going to get that magic text message. Oh, please. I'm going to get that magic text message that just says, buy my house now for this price, and it's going to be amazing. That is fantasy. That is fantasy. All right? Ask the questions so that you can disqualify the people that you're not the right fit for.
Correct.
We're deal finders, not deal creators. There you go.
All right. From Edgar, amigos, have you ever given some money or paid some of the seller's urgent bills before closing? How can we make that work and still be protected? Absolutely. Yeah. Albert, I think you should take the lead on this one. What was the first situation that happened? What was this week? Moving costs or something you were trying to negotiate with the deal?
Yeah, you can definitely do that. Everything is negotiable in this world, right? You can put it in the contract and that is still good to go. You put in text messages, that's still good. You have to honor your word. One of the things that I tried to work in the deal was I found out the seller's moving to another state and I found out they're elderly. So moving is a little hard. They don't have the kids around to help them. So I'm like, hey, if I put in a moving package for you up to X amount of dollars, how does that sound to the seller? And it's like, you put that in, we can do a lower offer. at the end of the day, time does kill the deal. This deal didn't work out, but it was very enticing to where they even entertained my offer.
Yeah.
That was
Kept the conversation
30,000
going.
off list
Yep.
on the 4th day on the
I
market.
was saying they had offers at or above list, and so
Yeah.
we were having a very real conversation below list price about a $2,000 moving
Yeah, it was
cost.
$2,000. So like, hey, I'll pay for a pod. I'll pay for a team of movers up to this price. I'll pay it after the inspection period, and I put that in to make sure I'm protected. But that's totally doable to say
Absolutely.
I'll pay your electric bill at the end of the month,
Yeah.
not
Right.
to exceed a certain amount
X
of
amount.
dollars.
Yep.
Protect yourself, but totally doable.
Yeah.
And then even with giving money, we've done deals like where we've released earnest money after, like I like to do it personally and strategically after the inspection period because it goes hard anyway.
Yep.
But there's a lot of times like when your earnest money is going to be non-refundable in an off-market deal, you might as well just go in and say, hey, I'll put up my earnest money and I'll have that released immediately to the seller if that's the situation that would make it appealing for them.
Right.
So we've done plenty of options like that. The biggest thing I always say for advice here is going to be making sure it is in writing. That's it.
Yeah, and make sure you have the money. You know,
Right,
if you don't have
right.
the money, then don't give the money. I mean, just stay firm, and they're just going to have to get it from family or get it from somewhere else. If you have the money, if you've got a nice bank account and you've got the opportunity to do that, we do it all the time. I mean, we'll give up to $2,000 without any documentation. It's smarter
Wow.
to do it with documentation, but we're just like, we're at the point, we're at the finish line. They need, some money to keep the lights on for the last week or whatever. They need some help moving. That's typically the bigger one is just or they need a deposit for a lease that they're going into,
Yep.
or whatever. I mean, because their money's trapped in the equity of the house, they need the money. They can afford this lease, but only after they sell the property, and we want to make sure that they get out as smooth as possible. So we'll help them out with some stuff like that, but don't let it like super stress you out.
Right.
If you're like on your last $1,500, $2,000 in your business or just in your account or whatever, and they need, half of that, you're going to be super stressed out
Right.
if you're giving it to them and they don't show up to the closing table.
Right.
You know what I mean? So make sure that you're 100% sure. And what I would do is one thing that we do, if there's not a lot of sticky liens on it or tough liens and the seller's done everything to give their identity statement to the title company, to get all their lien information and payoff information, everything's set up, you can, and some title companies can get that clean in the first week, 10 days. I'll have the seller sign the closing documents weeks before the actual closing, and I'll say, listen, you go in there, you get these things signed and done, we'll release this money to you, and it's already done. It'll just sit at the title company. It's not going to record until the funds come in and the buyer signs and whatever else. It'll just sit there. It's not going to, the contract still states when the transaction is going to be closed. The seller can sign weeks, days before that actual closing, and that'll help you feel real good about the fact that they're going to be done. Absolutely. If they won't go to the title company and sign all those closing docs and they want money and then you have to make that decision, probably not to give them money, but that is good. This is a great show. I'm having a lot of fun. David Young.
All right. Hello, guys. Do you all use novation agreements on your deals? And if so, when is the right time to use it?
Right.
We do not, actually. Do you?
No, David, listen, I think that there's a lot of advantage, especially in this market, to a novation agreement.
Right.
The issue with a novation agreement is now you're partners.
Right.
Now you're partners with some people that you don't really know. You're hoping that everything goes smooth in your relationship. Novation agreement essentially is just saying, hey, listen, this is the price that I'll give you. I'll help you fix it up. I'll help you get all this thing going. I'll get it nice and beautiful, and then we'll split the profits on the back end, and that's really cool. But you want to make sure that you are in control of the things going on, the contractors, the timeline, the price that it goes out, the agent that you use. All of these things are going to be very, very, very important for a novation agreement. So I like getting clean deals where we just make a bunch of money on finding them and either flipping them or wholesaling them. So I think Novation's good. I think Novation's a lot better when you have a really, really, really strong team and a really strong bank account. And then you could do some really incredible opportunities that way.
Yep.
But if you're just building it and maybe you're crushing and making millions, and then that position would be great. But if not, then I would stay focused on getting deals that are just discounted.
For sure.
They're out there everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've got a few friends out here that crush it with novations, and they love it. They swear by it, and just not our cup of tea.
Right. Yeah.
Million ways to skin a cat.
Well, once I get a purchase agreement from the agent, at what point I just need to sign my separate agreement with the investor, correct? Making sure I have the process down correctly. So once you have the purchase agreement with the agent, at that point, I just need to sign a separate agreement with your investor.
You're going to want a fully executed contract. That is what matters most. Okay. So
what does that mean?
Fully executed is with the buyer, seller, both signing the paperwork. So the only thing I want to make sure I'm very specific here is that they're not just getting the offer from the agent, signing it, and then trying to assign it, because there's no executed contract.
Yeah.
So I would just make sure once you have the executed contract with the seller's signature, your signature, and then the agents also sign it, then you send that to title, and then you send the separate agreement to your investors, and then that separate agreement also goes to title. I do not CC my agent on those separate agreements.
There you go. Nice. Marco.
All right.
How do you comp if you're in a non-disclosed state and don't have MLS access?
Would it be PropStream?
TTP data. Yeah, it's PropStream. TTPdata.com. It gives you access to the MLS, essentially. So it's a huge advantage among a lot of other ones. You get... Nope, that's the wrong one, Matt. Yep, there it is. You had call on there. You're just over there texting. What are you doing? What are we doing? Are you having another lunch with your friend after this? Is that what's going on here? What are we doing? You know? All right. Yeah, PropStream TTP data. It's if you can't afford the $99 a month right now, find somebody in your market that has it and gives you access. But it should be something that you put in your budget as a minimum to have, for sure, because it's going to help you be able to pull all that information. Because listen, the fact is, deal or no deal is the toughest part. When we're getting started, is this a deal? Is this not a deal? Is the price they want compared to the after repaired value compared to the repair costs? Is this going to be a really good deal, and how much can I make on it? Is critical, and that's why it's really that's why you really, in the beginning, you want to squat up with people that have experience that can help you with that.
Most definitely.
Yep.
Right.
Mr. C. Maine.
What do I do next after I put a house on the MLS under contract with a realtor? Beautiful question. So from there, you're going to dispo it. You're going to figure out what your exit strategy is with the deal. Are you wholesaling it? Are you fix and flipping? If you're going to be wholesaling, which is what I'm assuming you're going to do, I would say wholesale, just send it out to your buyers. You're going to get feedback very quickly. Make sure that you take that feedback to heart. Obviously, a lot of times with our feedback with our buyers, they're like, no deal. Okay, what about it? Is it price? Because maybe you could get the price a little bit lower during your inspection period. So I always try to get a number out of our buyers. Full transparency, it's 50-50 if I can. Sometimes they're just straight up no. But that's okay. So what you're looking for is just a buyer that's going to be interested in actually purchasing the property. Once they commit to it, they're going to sign the assignment contract, or if you're double closing it, they're going to sign the purchase contract. Again, as the last question, send those docs to title, and then make sure, most important from there, is making sure that your end buyer has their hard, non-refundable earnest money deposited.
Love it.
That's it.
Open escrow.
Open escrow.
Yeah. What's the difference between a predictive dialer and a multi-line dialer? A predictive dialer, well, it just depends. I think what you're wondering is a predictive dialer is a multi-line dialer. It's just, I think a predictive dialer is more robo-dialers, where it is a robot controlling it. And, right, Matt? Yeah, okay. It's a robot controlling it, and it's going. A multi-line dialer is I'm here with a multi-line, and I'm making calls. And when somebody picks up, I, the human, am talking to them. A predictive dialer is, a robocall, which is illegal. Yep. Klaus.
All right. In regard to the topic of being licensed for wholesaling and working real estate in virtual markets, in how many states do you need to be licensed? So you would need to be licensed in the state that you are going to be writing the offers in. It's as simple as that.
Yep.
So we're not licensed in any other states. However, I've done deals with realtors in like 3 other states. So from there, they can't pay me on the commission. I understand that. So I get split with the wholesale fee. So
or you have somebody in your company that has a license
and they
in
get
that area.
Fee. Yeah. Or they could pay a referral fee if you're licensed.
They write it. I mean, Klaus, it just depends. If you're the buyer, like buyers don't need licenses to.
No.
I don't need a license to offer in Washington, in Texas, and anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. If I'm closing on the deal, I'm just a buyer. The buyers don't need to be licensed.
Yeah. And I mean,
so it depends if you're wholesaling, right? So if you are locking that deal up. And and it's a state where they require you to have a license to assign that contract, then you would have to. I would suggest that you just close it and then resell it. Do a double close or a double escrow. Probably a double close on those type of transactions. But assigning it, if you're going to assign deals in a state that requires a license, you have to have a license in that state. Yep.
Good question, Edgar. Is the TC a member of your team, or is it an outside company? They are a member of the team. They work with the team, on the team, for the team. They are a licensed agent on the traditional side, and then they also handle TC for the investment as well as the traditional business. And usually just compensate them percentages.
Sorry, my wife has blown me up about what we were wearing for Halloween. I don't know. I don't know. Luis, how do you respond in that instance when they say that without dismissing them in a rude way and leave them with a sour taste in your mouth?
Dismissing them with what?
I'm guessing when you guys are talking about, I don't know, actually.
Right. Okay. Luis, give us a little bit of clarification there.
More detail.
Yeah. Alan, what should I do or say when seller likes price and is ready to sell, but when it comes time to sign the agreement says it's not a real contract? Okay. Are they, well, sometimes they're looking for like a realtor contract, the big 9-page or 10-page or 12-page, depends on what state you're in. Yeah. So if you're using a 1 or 2-page contract, then you can go, well, listen, most of the property owners that we work with prefer the simple and easy one, but we can certainly switch it over to a realtor contract if that makes you feel more comfortable. Because it just depends. You know, sometimes you run into that, and typically it's with people that have real estate experience in the past, real estate people in their family, people that are analytical, people that are attorneys. Any one of those people are going to be looking for a more robust purchase agreement. But for the most part, it's typically going to be just a simple contract. But if they think that they're not signing a contract that commits them to anything, then you need to educate them. This is a 100% committed. You can't sign this and then sign with somebody else.
Right.
If I'm going to commit to you, I need you to commit to me. Is that fair? That's it.
Where could somebody get a larger contract than needed? Real estate contract.
Just Google it. Yeah, you could download a blank realtor contract. You could go. I mean, sometimes they have it at like office, like Staples, and like online. I mean, you should be able to.
I think they do have them at Staples. It's like in that section by the open house signs. Yeah. Sure.
Referring to pricing, what can you offer me, Luis? It's not about offending them.
Yeah.
All right. First of all, you're asking them what they want for their property. You should be. And then from there, the way that I like doing it is, hey, listen, just to let you know, neighbors similar, and this is all completely a true statement here. Neighbors similar to your home in similar condition are selling for around this price. Typically, that's going to be 66% of the Zillow price if it's over $250,000, 50% if it's below $250,000, and 25% if it's below $100,000 on Zillow. All right? And so you just throw out you will find comps within a half mile, if not that same neighborhood that fit that. I'm telling you. unless you're trying to like throw a ridiculous number at somebody in like Malibu,
right,
or like Austin, Texas, or whatever else. You know what I mean? Like know your audience type of thing. But when you're throwing this thing out, you throw it out that the neighbors are selling in similar conditions, similar to your home, for around this price. Is that what you were thinking? That's how you do it without being too aggressive and committing to an offer. But it's not like I'm trying to not offend them, because I'm still throwing out that offer. What I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to say, like, listen, it gives me some maneuverability if they're like, well, I've got this in the hot property, I've got a bigger lot, I'm facing this, I'm on a lake, but whatever it is, then you can adjust those prices. But that would help you out, Louis.
Love it.
Or Louis, Chris.
All right. If you close your first deal and make $20,000, knowing what you know now, how much would you leave in the business versus paying yourself on the first deal? I know you're not a CPA, but just curious if it was you. Solid question. Money. I actually did this when I first started like really making good money with wholesaling. Was that I always took 30% and I just put it into another bank account. Cool. I'm going to assume that does not exist. I'm going to take the remaining like 70% out of that. I'm going to take about 40%, reinvest into my business, and then I'm going to pay myself off 30%. I would say a great book recommendation, if you haven't read it already, is Profit First. I modeled my entire business and how I pay myself off of Profit First.
We have the real estate one.
Yep, you just give me that. Yeah.
Daniel, can you grab that book? It's in my office. It's the
Profit First Real Estate Investing.
Yeah, version. Profit First Real Estate Investing. There's like 4 copies of it there. I
just started that one like 2 days ago because Profit First is one of my all-time favorite books, but this one is specific to real estate investing.
It's incredible. It's about to be released to the public here soon. I would pre-order it and get it as soon as it comes out. Yeah. Jose, how do I start to work with agents? What do I tell them with what I would like to do and acquire deals from them to wholesale?
Good question. I'm going to give you a little bit of insight of some of my coaching here. So what we do is I always create this as the analogy is creating an army. You're going and creating an army of people, and these are your agents. These are the people, like I said, that are going to be in the industry looking at properties on a day-to-day basis. I do not go in and tell them, hello, I'm a buyer, but I'm not buying the property, because real estate agents are not going to like that. They're going to be like, you're not buying the property. They're going to be like, time out. And real fast, we do like a little...
No, keep talking.
Keep going?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say... what I want to tell them is I'm a buyer. I'm going in, I'm buying properties, I'm a fix and flipper, I'm an investor. And then if they were to ask like anything about wholesaling, I don't lie to them. I am a wholesaler, and that is one of my exit strategies. But when I go in with a property, I run my numbers based on being able to buy it myself. So with that said, you're creating the army of people. They're all going to be working for you on your behalf, trying to find deals that are going to fit whatever buy box criteria you give them. And then from there, you have the joy of doing what is called inbound versus outbound. You are now underwriting all the inbound properties that are sent to you by these agents, rather than going and finding the deal outbound through text messages, cold calling, so on and so forth.
Love it. Yep. Profit First, real estate. Did you see who wrote on here? Steve Trang. Steve Trang's one of the guys.
Review,
he didn't write it. He's one of the people that are writing reviews. Annie Evo and Jesse with Batch that are just down there in here. Yeah. Matt Andrews. I mean, the guys, this is really, this is a must read for us, okay? So that'll help you out. There you go. Anytime somebody asks me a CPA question, I'm going to just do this. I'm going to just keep this like underneath the table. Just whoop. There you go. Awesome. Hey, Brent and Ryan, we all know Zillow FSBO leads are insane with insane sellers sometimes. How often do you guys go for those?
I love this as practice.
Okay.
This is free leads, and these are sellers that have unrealistic expectations. This is how you practice having conversations and setting the expectation by lowering what they believe their house is worth. So you have nothing to lose.
Right.
They're free. Pick up the phone, call, and guess what? When I did this, when I first started, I used to pick up the phone and call FSBOs, and then I used to be super scared. I'd be like, hey, I'm interested in buying. I'm like, oh, God, I don't know what to say. And I'd hang up on them. And I'd just be like, okay, I'm done. But then it was like, guess what? At least I didn't pay $2,000 to skip trace that
week.
So I would say great practice. I'm not really pushing it too much anymore. I do tell people that end up going into coaching them like, hey, if you're trying to go a cheaper option and not spend as much, look at Craigslist, look at Zillow FSBO, go on Facebook groups, so on and so forth.
Well, and a lot of people warm up before they start calling distressed property lists with these FSBO buyers because they call, can you tell me about the property? They go condition, they go timeline, they go motivation, they go price. Timeline's already there. They want to sell now, so they understand that. But you can kind of get, we give cash offers and we close in 2 weeks to 30 days. Will that work for you? Yeah, great. Okay. Is this the best price that you can do? This is the only price. If I don't get this price, I'm not getting anything.
Yep.
Totally understand. I totally get it.
Yep.
Do you have any properties? This seems like a really great property. I'm really looking for a property that I can put some work into, that I can put some sweat equity, put some love into. Do you have any properties that are, kind of rough around the edges? They've been beat up pretty good, and then it opens that up.
Yep.
You've asked that second question. They might not, but they might. And they might, or they might be like, listen, I'm going to drop the price in this thing like today. Right. So if you want it, I'm going to be selling it for $225,000, whatever. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
It's a great way to warm up because one, they're not mad for you calling. That's the point. They put it out there for you to call. Two, if you're not a real estate agent trying to get a listing, it's a refreshing call for them to get.
Of course.
So they're a lot nicer to you. And you never know. It's an opportunity. Listen, you have enough quality conversations, you win. But you just got to see if they're distressed property owners or not. If they're not, listen, 90 to 94% of property owners are not in distress. That's just a fact. So we're playing we're playing on the edges. We're playing in that 6 to 10% that is. Luckily, that's millions of properties every year. So there you go. Nor, how do you fund the first leg on a double close?
2 different ways.
Yep.
And I think that we can balance it out because we do it 2 different ways.
Yeah.
The first way I could tell about how I do it is that we do the double close where we have the A to B purchase contract, we have the B to C purchase contract. We make sure that the closing dates align on the same date so that it's going to be this first leg of the transaction gets funded and recorded at the county. Then the second leg goes after this one's already been funded and recorded. So per the tax records, our LLC actually owns the property for like a 30-minute span or an hour span, and then it will show up next day, a sale unverified on tax records. Right. So we do the double close where I don't personally have to bring the funds. I allow our end buyer to bring the funds because it's the same day closing. Our end buyer's funds will actually cover the difference of whatever our fee is and the cost that we agreed to with the seller. So
love it. Yeah, I mean, the first leg of the fund, I mean, a double close, you are bringing in the funds. A double escrow is you're getting the funds from the buyer on the other side. So a double close, you're either getting transactional funding, you're getting private money, or you're bringing in your own funds. And so you're getting those things, you're getting it actually closed with your funds. And this is going to be required more and more, I'm telling you. So having a funding partner is going to be critical, which means it's not, I'm telling you, it is super easy to get a funding partner if you have a resume. If you show, look at these 5, I'm talking 5 deals. I'm talking, get to 5 deals. I did these 5 deals. This is what I locked it up for. This is what I sold it for. This is what I made. This is what I locked it up for. This is what I sold it for. This is what I made. I'm continuing to do this. Check out this amazing deal I have here. I want to pay you $1,000 to $5,000 to do this thing for 1 minute, 1 hour, half a day. I need your money to be in here, and I'll give you $5,000. You can make $5,000 today and make it as smooth as possible, or $2,000 or $1,000, whatever you want to do. However, it depends on the size of the deal. And convince people to do it.
Right.
And that's one of those things that you can convince, because people are wanting to be convinced of where to put money and how to get a return.
Right.
So, yeah. Michael.
I don't know if you guys know.
There's an online one.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, Michael, just post. Maybe in Wholesale Hotline, maybe post to the Wholesale Hotline Facebook group or any other ones. I don't, we just don't use the same title company. I use a very specific title company in Florida, and then obviously here in Phoenix, and then one in Northern Arizona. So yeah. I mean, squad up with somebody. And also, I think that there is some advantages to keeping everything with one company, but there's also advantages to building really good relationships in the markets that you're in. And when you do that, the advantage that you get is you can go and talk to them and see who their best clients are, who their best buyers, cash buyers are, who's their big swinging clients that do a lot, and build those relationships. So that's why I've been, I don't just look for one spot to do that. Jared. Come on. Now we're talking. You're going to ring this one for Jared.
Let's go, Jared.
That is awesome. Congratulations. We celebrate you. MLS deal locked up yesterday. Received an offer from a buyer while watching Millionaire Before 30.
There you go.
How about that? Boom.
MLS.
We got him. Great job. One more question. We're going to wrap this thing up. Thank you guys for participating in this. We had a lot of questions, a lot of great deep dives into some things. Guys, this show is nothing without you guys participating. It would just be me and Ryan and Albert talking and messing around here. So thank you for joining us, guys. We're here every Thursday, 10 a.m. Arizona time. That's going to switch up here in the next month. We're going to be on Mountain Time, but we'll let everybody know. And we'll keep rocking this thing. Yep.
Is that next week?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it's next week. I don't know. Next week. Okay. Johnny, trying to dispo a deal right now. Need to find cash buyers ASAP. How can I quickly find cash buyers?
I would say squad up, Facebook groups, and then I would also be going to a big dispo wholesaler, and I would just be having them help you. Those are my three.
Yeah, it depends on where you're at. I would look into Keegley.
Yep.
Look into Keegley.com and see if they're in your marketplace and reach out to one of their reps. They've got a lot of franchises and they've got big, robust cash buyer databases. I would also go into, well, first of all, go to ttpinsider.com, Matt. ttpinsider.com, Matt. And download the Cash Buyer Pack. Johnny, Cash Buyer Pack, that is free. It'll show you how to get the best 100 buyers, and that way you can you just follow the instructions that are in that pack. And basically you're looking for all of the listing agents in that zip code, in that area, that are listing flips. They're representing buyers. Half the time they are the actual people that are doing the flips. So those are really great. And if you haven't subscribed and liked the channel, make sure that you do right now. Because we come out, I mean, we're here every single day and giving you the energy and the content and the instruction that you need to be successful as a real estate entrepreneur and grow in your business. So make sure that you like and subscribe, and make sure you get into TTV Insider. One more bell break. There we go, Barb. Boom. You wild woman. Locked up, fix and flip today. Let's go. Boom. That's awesome. Ended on a high note. Guys,
absolutely.
Thank you so much. Final thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of selfish plug for us, sorry.
Yeah,
our meetup is next Tuesday. If you guys are local to Arizona, you guys wanted to hang out with us, pick our brains, see how we do these deals.
I love it.
We ended up having like 40, 50 people show up last time, and we are planning a few big things. We've actually got a few guest speakers coming. So
awesome.
Next Tuesday, we will be there. Alma School and Jermaine Barrows. We'll be posting it all over my social media stuff. So take a look. This episode was super fun. I feel like we definitely had a lot of interaction.
Yeah, this
Appreciate
is great.
you guys, and I'm excited. I love where
if
this is
you
going.
are in Phoenix or Tucson or surrounding areas and you're not going to this meetup, you are missing out. Guys, I'm telling you, surround yourself.
Right.
Surround yourself with people that are doing incredible things, and you will do incredible things. Make sure you go there. It is Tuesday. Next week.
4:30 to 7.
4:30 to 7.
Yep. I mean, dude, that's how I started getting my buyers, my cash buyers, all my relationships, everything, meetups.
So make sure that you are following these guys' social media and get all the instruction and the directions and know where it's at. So that's awesome. Till next week, guys. Love you guys. See ya.
I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll.